From Janitor to Millionaire by 28 with my good friend, Matt Kruger. Y'all, this episode is so freaking good, okay? Because Matt was just a regular dude, like literally just a regular dude. He started off with his wife, Mariah, just buying really cheap properties, fixing them up, and then turning them into rentals. And it's not like he was making $100,000 a year plus. He wasn't even making six figures. He was making, like, even when he left his job, by the time he had a few properties, like $60,000 a year. But he dedicated his time towards real estate investing to give him so much more time freedom. And it's just so wonderful, even just to see how he does his life with his family and his kids, and they homeschool and spend time traveling. And you can really see where his priorities are and where his wife's priorities are from the start. And also, he's just wicked smart, truly, because he has now grown to over 300, 400,000 followers across all of his platforms, and can tell like how much he really looks at the data and analyzes the data. So listen to this episode. I think it's just going to inspire you so much to know, like, you can do this too. You really can. It just takes dedication, focus, and having that clear direction of where you want to go. So listen to the episode. Let me know what you think. Okay. So you literally grown your Instagram, your TikTok, your YouTube to all of them are at least at what, 20,000 plus subscribers and followers, right?
Yeah, I just passed 220,000 on TikTok. And at, what is it, 60, I think I just hit 60,000 on Instagram, like almost 70,000 Facebook. And YouTube is just blowing off because like it's, we had mentioned, but like in the last 2 months, I went from 300 subscribers to now 55,000 subscribers in just 60 days. So, it's been growing. It's been growing.
I've literally someone who's been on YouTube for 2 years now, and I'm still at 2,000 subscribers. I'm just blown away. I need to study your stuff and just get a lot more controversial, apparently.
Yeah. You need to do those things that trigger people for sure. I think, and I've studied a lot about like how to master the hook, because once you get that hook right, like the thing that you say at the like within the first 3 to 5 seconds, and then also the hook caption is what I call it, like the text on the screen, because people read faster than they listen. And you have that enough, it'll draw enough people in. So it's been working. Yeah, it's been working.
Okay, so like, what is your reasoning for growing your socials? Because I remember the last time that I talked to you, you were just like, I don't really know. I'm just growing it for the sake of it right now.
Yeah. So when I started doing social media, I actually started back, it would have been almost 3 years ago now is when I actually opened up a TikTok account. It was on a bet with my brother-in-law that you could not monetize social media. That was the bet. Because I knew it's like I needed to be at like 10,000 followers or something on TikTok, and then you could maybe make some money. Who knows? I remember like having like my first video really go off and seeing like $800 that I made in a month from the TikTok Creator Rewards program, and I'm just like, man, like this is real money. But but then. Yeah, I mean, like when I left my job, that's when I like really started to take social media seriously. I'll call it retiring from my job with Google back in October of 2022. I said goodbye to them because we had enough cash flow from our rental properties to sustain our lifestyle and living expenses. And my desire then was to be able to show other people how to do what we were doing. So that was my reasoning behind it. It was like, how can I, take this to another like a platform, instead of just keeping it to myself and doing this on our own, like how can I teach other people how to do this? So I would just record us like renovating properties and talking about like the type of loans that I had and how we house hacked and all of these other things. And just, it was more educational than anything else. And it was very rewarding, to be honest. Like I loved doing that. And I still try to do that as much as I can now too. My content style has changed a little bit. Like I'll talk through, Airbnb horror stories and all of that stuff too.
Like that's what gets the clicks.
It does. And the reason I do it is because of that. Like I'll get people's attention into my profiles and they'll start following me. And then it allows me to also do educational videos as well. So I try to do a mix of both of them. But my reason now I would say is like, it's a two-part thing. Number one is to have a like kind of, I mean, I know it sounds weird, but like have a purpose for myself. I mean, like
Yeah.
I used to be known as, Matt, the cell phone guy or the Apple guy or the Google guy or whatever when I worked with these jobs, and just having an identity, like who I am, and making a difference in actually being able to educate and help people, learn how to do this stuff. Because things that for me might seem like, oh, like this, like everybody should know this. Everybody doesn't know this stuff. So just to just talk through it and tell people, how this stuff works. And even though I get a lot of haters for some of my stuff, I also get people who message me all the time, like, thank you so much for sharing this stuff. My wife and I just got our first property, and it's because of your content that you helped inspire us and those things. So like getting that purpose from that. Also, like on the other side of that first point as well, is creating a name for myself. I want to be known in this community. I want to be seen as a leader in this community, where maybe it'll lead to other things. I actually will be speaking at a conference, my first live conference at the end of this month in Chicago, actually.
Oh my gosh, how exciting. Which conference?
Ryan Bakey.
Yes, I do.
Bakey, I think.
Well, I like don't really know him. I've like crossed paths a few times.
Sure. So he's having a tax strategy, real estate tax strategy conference. It'll be small, like 100 people, but I think it'll be good for kind of my first starter live conference. I was on Mark Simpson's, which I know you know him, but his virtual summit, whatever deal that he just did a couple months ago, but that was pre-recorded, so it wasn't quite the same. But I mean, to be able to get more in the conference space, maybe start speaking at some stuff and having that influence, I think, in having the purpose behind it. Then the second part of it is monetization. Like I do it because I make pretty good money from it. Being like blunt, I mean, I make more on social media than I ever made at a job.
It's crazy. No, okay. Are you able, like, I totally respect you if you don't want to share, but can you just like break that down? Like, how are you making money on social media and like ballpark numbers, just so people can know what's possible?
So the number one revenue source is paid partnerships. So I used to not be picky because I was excited at first, like, oh, people want to pay me to make videos for them. But now I am very picky with who I work with, because I've worked with companies before where I found out later that like they weren't that great of a company, and I'm recommending them on my channels, which I don't want to do. So I make sure that I really know them well, or have used them, or am currently using them. So like I work with Hospitable. Which they're fantastic. And we use them personally. I love them. So Hospitable, Proper Insurance, B&B Calc, Turbo Tenant as well. So all of these companies that I use and stand behind, that's who I'm partnered with right now. So I think this month I've got 13 paid partnership videos that I'm doing.
Holy snap, that's a lot. Okay, you were stronger. I like burned out of partnership stuff, and I actually like shut down all of my partnerships about a year ago. And I only recently just started bringing on sponsors, mainly for long form YouTube and podcasts, because I was like, okay, let's get this paying for itself now. It's kind of one of those things. Like for me, I don't really like, unless the company, like, so this month I had a company ask me to do a direct ad, which is somebody that I've been working with for a while, and I really love the company anyway, so that's fine. Where we will put money behind it and push it on social media. But otherwise, it's usually more like I'll be telling one of my stories or something. That's typically like what I've gotten popular for, is the storytelling videos, and then I'll loop them in like into the video. Like this property made such and such money on Airbnb last month. This is how I can check all of these metrics, and then jump into Hospitable and show the metrics tab and stuff. Or smart. Wait, I should put out a video like that. I really need to go through and study your video.
I mean, Proper Insurance is super fun because those are more like liability based anyway. So I put the fear of God into people for all of the liability stuff, for off premise, on premise, liquor liability, bed bugs, dog bites, all of those things. So I get to have fun with those videos. I did one where I had the caption said, Airbnb host sued for kids falling downstairs or something like that. So at the beginning of the video, it was just like at one of my Nest cameras.
Oh,
They're
man.
recording my kids run on the deck, and I use them as props in the video. They're like,
Wait,
"You're not going to catch me when they
so
run."
funny.
They
Oh
run
my
down
God.
there. But so like I love making these. Like it's
Yeah.
not work for me. It's fun. But yeah, so that's the bulk of my time would be doing those, and also like the main source of income. On average, I bring in, I don't know, anywhere from $6,000 to $8,000 a month from paid partnerships.
That's
Is pretty
amazing.
typical. So I had a really big month last month, and it was about $20,000.
Amazing.
But I had a couple other projects that I did. So that's the main bulk. After that would be views. So TikTok has been the one that I've been getting paid for views on up until just a few weeks ago when I got monetized on YouTube. And I averaged, so last year I made $27,000 from just views alone on TikTok.
Oh my gosh, that's like someone's salary, literally.
Right? So that's cool. But every month is a little bit different. Like some months are 1,000. Last month was 3,700. So I really hope that when TikTok sells, like it has to, from ByteDance, that will not go away. But we'll see. So I don't rely on that. But
Totally.
yeah, YouTube now is monetizing well. I mean, I just showed you that in the last since March 21st, I've made like $4,700 or something crazy from just
Crazy
there. So but yeah, so
and it's currently, what day is it? It is, even though this isn't coming out on April 8th, but currently April 8th. So that's like literally a month and a few days. That's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, but so that would be like number 2. Number 3, just trying to think of my list here. What else do? I do like Amazon Associates or what they call it, but that's not much there. I also have an Etsy shop where I created like some digital downloads for Airbnb stuff. And I've got that available through like a link in my bio, so you can click on that. And that's maybe $100 a month. And then I do offer a one-on-one call where you can book a call with me for an hour through Google Meets for $350. And usually I'll do I don't know, 4 or 5 of those a year. So it's not, I mean, I priced it high just because I want to make sure somebody's serious when they book it. And it's kind of,
I mean, I wouldn't even say that's priced super high, but I also feel like it's like, I mean, like I put mine at $9.99 because I'm like, I don't want to hop on.
Nice. There you go.
I
need to increase mine apparently.
It's like you really have to want to like do a one-on-one with me.
Yeah. There you go. And here I am for free today, so I feel #blessed.
Oh my gosh!
I'm just gonna start bugging you on social media now, sending you DMs and be like, "How much is this gonna cost me?"
That's so funny. Yeah, no, I really burnt out of it like a couple of years ago. I was just like, I do not want to hop on one-on-ones with. For me, the problem is it's with a lot of folks who aren't actually going to take action, right? Like they're going to be sitting on the sidelines for the next 2-3 years, and it's just not worth my time, you know?
Yeah. I definitely find that if you price yourself higher, the people that pay that are ones that are more likely to take advantage of it. So
exactly.
But yeah, I had one guy. He's like a full-time doctor, and then he also does like new builds and stuff as well. And he had like some long-term rental properties, but he usually just does like not even flips, just like buying land, building properties, selling and stuff, because he was profiting off that. And he had a property in Texas, and he's like, I just need like your eyes on this to see if it would make a good short-term rental. So we ran through like AirDNA and B&B Calc, and I gave him my, opinions on different things and amenities to add and what kind of, audience to grab. And now he's making really good money, and he's launched another one in the same market, and he's loving it. So, and those are rewarding too, right? Like I enjoy doing that stuff, but I mean, on social media, you can definitely make a good living if you're serious about it. You're consistent with it too. Post something every day. It doesn't have to be some long, fancy, video. I can spit out a quick little TikTok video on TikTok in 30 minutes and post it up, and you never know. Just stay consistent, and but I fully expect to make 100 to 150K on social media just this year. So, which blows my mind. So, but I'm super grateful for it, and I really enjoy doing it. So those are my long-winded reasons for it. is
No,
monetization, making a name for myself, helping others. So
I love that. And so for me, a big part of it is the helping others part, because I've gone like without social media before, and I love it, like not being on social media as well. Like I love
yep, yep.
going on vacation. I remember the longest time I took was a couple of years ago, and I went 5 weeks off of social media, and it was phenomenal. But I continue posting because of the number of lives I've been able to like help and touch. Right.
Yeah.
And that's even like
Yep.
why I started my coaching program. It's like, I was having this big like existential crisis earlier this year, because I was just like, do I want to grow my coaching program? Do I not? Maybe I make it a passive course, all of this stuff. Started trying to do it as a passive course. And I was like, I'm just not into it, because I love the transformation that people get within coaching.
Yeah.
And that like feel, and like those are the people who are still messaging me a year or two later being like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm doing. And I'm like, I'm so proud of you, you know?
Yeah, you just did like some sort of mastermind meetup or something too with your group, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, we had our first retreat, which was amazing. Like it was so exhausting. I was so tired by the end, because then I went to go MC Level Up Your Listing. But it was truly like so transformational, so amazing.
Yeah.
And when you have these moments in your life that you're like, wow, I'm going to remember back to this, and like that's going to be a shaping part of my life. Like I can already tell that that's going to be something in their lives, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Yeah, no, it looked like a lot of fun. I saw some pictures of yours on social media for it. So that's great. But yeah, that's awesome.
So, I mean, Matt, I know we jumped right on in, but can you tell everyone how you even got before all the channels? Who was Matt? Because, we have a very similar story, right? Where we kind of both started house hacking in corporate.
Yeah.
So can you give everyone like a little background?
Yeah, for sure. So, I don't know. I feel like my story kind of is a little all over the place, but I think that's probably the same way for most people. I like when I share my background, I like to just kind of hit on the kind of where I started and not just jump right into houses, so that way people understand. Like, I did not come from money. My parents were pretty middle class. My dad had actually been laid off. He worked at a architectural company doing like IT stuff, making $1 million homes is what they were doing back in 2008. And when the housing market crashed, he his whole company went bankrupt. So I went to college using FAFSA grants and scholarships and stuff that I applied for, and I paid my own way through college, working full time actually as a janitor, cleaning bathrooms and stuff at a elementary school at $10 an hour. And I was able to graduate debt free, but I went to college to be a youth pastor. That's actually what I have a degree in, is youth pastoral. And I graduated and thought, I'm going to, look for a job with this, but I didn't want to go out of state, and I did not find anything that was local. So I ended up getting a part-time job. I guess it was full-time, as a cell phone rep at a Sprint store. And this was in what would have been 2011, 2013. 2013 is when I graduated, and I made $35,000 that year. I was my pay was like $8 an hour plus commission. So it was pretty low. But 2014, my wife and I got married, and we were living in a 2-bedroom apartment, paying about $700 a month. She was making $14 an hour as a veterinary technician, and I was working my job, still making pretty low income. So, but we thought, we got pregnant, and we were like, what are we going to do to build maybe passive income? Like, what can we do to help bring some extra money on the side? And her parents did real estate, which was kind of my ticket into what this lifestyle could look like. Because when I met her, they were spending a month out of their year down in Tucson, Arizona. Yeah, and he had been like a meat cutter at a grocery store, and had retired from his job when he was in his early 40s. So I'm like, well, dang, what can I do here? And now the times were different then, because they could do no doc loans and all sorts of stuff where it wasn't as difficult. After 2008, it's been way harder to get approved for stuff. But I was we knew we wanted a rental property. We just didn't know how to get one. But I was driving a lot for work at that time, and I was listening to podcasts, and I heard this guy talking about, I think it was a Bigger Pockets podcast, actually. This guy was talking about house hacking, and this idea of not just buying a duplex, or a fourplex or whatever and living in one unit and renting out the rest. Like that's what everybody knows house hacking as. But it was buying a single family home, living in the house as you renovate it, and then moving out and renting that out. And I'm like, well, heck, like I can do that instead of putting 20% down on a rental property, conventional loan. I can get a 3% down loan conventional on a primary residence. So I think we were approved for like $115,000 was what our income would approve us up to. We found this house that was a like super rundown fixer upper. It had carpet in the kitchen, wood paneled
Oh my gosh.
straight carpet in the bedrooms. It was a dump. Single family, or single story with a crawl space underneath. But we bought this thing. So this guy was he had it listed for $90,000, and we came in and we offered $92,000.
Okay.
With the seller paying $2,000 of closing costs. So that was a trick we learned where we wouldn't have to come up with the closing costs up front, but instead loop it into loan by having them pay for closing costs and offering them more than asking. So we locked in at 92. We got a first-time home buyer's credit with the Iowa Wild hockey team, where we actually got a photo. The mascot was there at our closing.
Wait, that's so cute.
So
wait, how did you even find that loan?
I called 10 different banks and asked who had a first-time home buyer credit. So $1,000 towards closing. The only criteria was that we had to live in that house for 1 year in order to qualify for it. So that was our goal anyway. And you can't move until after a year unless there's extenuating circumstances. It would be mortgage fraud otherwise. So we did that 5 times in 5 years. We moved.
Okay, so you actually did the 5 houses in 5 years, because that was originally my plan as well. But then I got one property. I was like, screw it, I'm out.
Yeah.
Originally, the funny thing is like I have done that now. Like each year, I just buy one property, and I'm still kind of on that trajectory, and now have like 5 places. But like that was originally my goal, was 5 houses in 5 years, and then I can quit my job. But I hated my job so much that I was like, I'm out.
Honestly, the main reason that I was ever able to do that was 100% because of my wife. It would not have happened without her. So we had our first baby, our daughter. She's now almost 9, and my wife became a stay-at-home mom. And that was both of our desire at the time anyway. And she wanted to do that. And with her income as well, it made more sense, because it's like, well, we could pay for daycare and you could work your job, and then maybe we'd have an extra $800 to $1,000 a month after everything's said and done. But it's like, we just rather you be home, and that's what she wanted to. So she loved her job, but she loves being a mom at home more. So, but then she got to work a lot. So I'm going and I'm working, my regular job. And then on the evenings and weekends and stuff, we're working together, fixing this up. But she's doing stuff while I'm gone too, like painting, and we did some tiling, but she did stuff to get a loan too sometimes. And she'd be working on some of these things and just taking care of all of those extra things. With that first house specifically, we were so broke that we just save up, $300 to $500, and then do the next thing, and then save up. And then, so by the time the year was up, we were finally getting our renovations done enough to be able to move out and rent it. But
hey girl, real quick, if you have been dreaming of living life on your own terms, then listen up. Okay. I created a free course that shows you exactly how to buy a rental property using your $75K plus corporate salary and at least $10,000 in savings. That's with no trust fund, no rich boyfriend, no daddy's money, no hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in the bank, just strategy, confidence, and a step-by-step plan. Now, in this free course, I'm going to be teaching you the number one strategy that is working for newbies in today's market. I'm also going to teach you how to spot a good deal and how to replace your corporate income with passive real estate income, escape the corporate hamster wheel, and not be dependent on your corporate job to survive. Now, this is for 3 kinds of people. This is for you if you are stuck in a job that you do not love, secretly dreaming of more freedom, more travel, and and more peace in your bank account. Or maybe you're currently a digital nomad looking for more grounding and wealth building without losing the ability to travel. Or maybe you're a business owner or corporate girly who just sees the volatility in the market and you just want to diversify your income. If any of those sound like you, then go ahead, go get the free course now. The link is in the show notes, or just go to oliviatati.com/free course. That's oliviatati.com/free course. Trust me, this could change your life. Well, and so I'm curious, at that time, did you not know of like the FHA 203K loan or anything like that?
Yeah, so the difficulty, like for us at the time with FHA, was that the houses that we were buying were too distressed to qualify for FHA.
Even for the 203K?
I didn't know about that. No.
Okay,
I just knew, like standard.
I mean,
FHA
I didn't either at the beginning.
So I just knew you could do FHA or conventional. And in talking with our lender, he said like the type of houses that we were buying were too distressed. They were still like totally livable. It was just super like run down cosmetically, like needed updates. So
and FHA has pretty strict guidelines, like literally small things like, oh, the stair, if let's say you have a porch with stairs going down, if the railing isn't perfectly in place, they're like, nope, you got to get that fixed.
Where conventional was more lenient for sure. So, but we, it worked out, and like the lender that we worked with was super understanding of our situation as well. And like we, with our first house, we did have to find renters before we were able to actually close on our second house. So that was a little dicey, but it worked out. So my mortgage on my first house, escrowed, was like $620 a month. And we rented it out for $1,200 a month. So we had to sign before closing on our second house. Our next house was $130, then $130 again, then $180. And we just kept going from there. So, but yeah, so every time we moved, we found a new project and we would, work on it together. But my wife was definitely like the backbone behind that. And she has stayed motivated to the whole thing, because I don't think I could have on my own for sure.
No, I love that. I mean, I love that's how you got started, because I speak to, especially nowadays when you see all the things on social media with giant STRs and you amenity rich and people are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I'm just like, for your very first property, you don't even know if you like real estate yet. And you're going to want to put hundreds of thousands of dollars into something you don't, and you're trying to raise money and you've never done this before. Like, go buy yourself a house hack first and see if you even like this and start putting systems in place. But I guess that's just my opinion personally.
Oh yeah, no, I 100% agree. I mean, there's this false impression that you get on social media from these big, real estate gurus, these Airbnb, experts or whatever that they call themselves. It's like, we put $100,000, like that's all that you need. It's like, well, like for the vast majority of Americans, they are never going to be able to do that. So our first house, all in for we didn't pay down payment because they were paying it for it. Loan, we paid down payment. They paid closing costs. So 3% down on $92,000, and then all the closing costs were covered. It was like $2,500 is all we had to come up with out of pocket for that. So I think $2,500 is something that anybody could do if they really wanted to. So, and then as far as renovations went, we just did it as we could. So we lived in it, and then we renovated it as we lived there. And it sucked. There's a lot of stuff that we had to make sacrifices on for 5 years there. But then we were actually going to do 10 houses, and we landed in the house that we're in now. And it wasn't our dream house, but it was our dream, like, property itself. So it's a small acreage. So we have a few acres, and then it's connected onto some land that my in-laws own too. They've got 27 years. So we ride 4-wheelers around. We have horses out here, dogs, cats, chickens, ducks, all the things. So we renovated this house as we lived here as well for the last 6 years, and converted the garage into part of the house, built a pole barn, did some massive stuff, got the whole kitchen and put in hickory cabinets and countertops. But it's been slow over time. But yeah, I mean, that was like how we started, and then we had enough cash flow coming in from these properties to start putting 20% down on some. And then finally in 2022, I think it was the end of 2021 that we bought it, but then we went live January 1st, 2022 on our first short-term rental. And that's what really changed the game for us there. Like I was definitely stuck in the analysis paralysis for a while with short-term rentals, because I'm like, well, like I see people doing this and being successful. Michael Elefante was probably my poster inspiration boy.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to go to his head. He's going to see one of these podcasts because I say this in every single one that I'm on. But I see this guy traveling around and actually, he left his job and so did his wife, and they're traveling in a conversion van, and he had worked at Domino's and then Google, like similar story to like what I had done. And I'm talking with my wife, like she's the one that keeps me grounded. Like I'm the one usually with the ideas, and then she'll be like, okay, but like, have you actually thought through this and analyzed this? And like, what do we need to like check these boxes to make sure that's going to work? And she's like, could it be a long-term rental? If it fails, it's a short-term rental. And so we didn't think it would be successful. We actually put one in Des Moines, Iowa, which is where like we're located at. And we did that because we like to be more hands-on with stuff. We managed all of our other long-term properties on our own. And looking at AirDNA, I think it gave it a market score of like 37 or something like that. So it was bad. But I still saw on AirDNA like that there was like only, what was it, like 700 short-term rentals around the Des Moines metro at the time. And 80% of those slept 8 people or less. So we're like, if we're gonna do this, let's do a larger home that sleeps 10 people. That first house was $160,000. That's how much we bought this thing for. It's an old house. It was built in like 1910, but right downtown Des Moines. 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and our first year on as a short-term rental with that, like we did like the cheap stuff. We did like Goodwill and Facebook Marketplace and stuff for that. We bought new beds and like that type of furniture was new, but that first year it did. What was it, like $52,000?
Oh my gosh! Yeah, for $150,000 property.
Last year it did 72. It did 72.
My gosh!
We did add a hot tub, which I think helped that as well. But so then we bought another one in Des Moines for 165, and that one had 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, sleeps 14 people. It was like a college campus house, and had just like a bunch of college guys in it and dogs, and they just destroyed it. But we gutted all like the kitchen and everything else, and we put a little more work into that. I think we spent about $40,000 for renovations and furnishings there. So we were about 200 to 205 all in. And
oh my gosh.
Last year it did $93,000.
Oh my gosh.
So now we opened a third one just this last year. So when we expect that one to do 100K, that one was a little bit nicer. 225 purchase price, but
I love how a little bit nicer is 225.
Hey, compared to your Colorado, like your Denver prices, I'm sure it's like
the Denver we're banking on appreciation here for sure. Like it's still cash flows, but definitely like appreciation.
yeah, not as bad as California, but still not great for prices. But hey, at least you've got the views and the weather and stuff out there too. So
I know, and I'm like, the fact that I can even make it work here is all I care about, right? So for me, it's like the fact that I get to live in one of my, like the only place, probably not the only place, but for right now, the only place in the US that I would want to live, which is fabulous for me. And I get to live here for free. Amazing.
Yeah. You got it set up the right way. Yeah. No, that's fantastic. But I think there's something to be said about like creating the guest experience, and that's kind of where Airbnb Airbnb has shifted as well. As a short-term rental industry as a whole, but like creating unique guest experiences more than just a place to stay. So the hosts that are failing are the ones that just put, heads on beds and don't actually create that unique place for people to stay. So like, we're in the Midwest, we're not a vacation destination, but there are still people traveling here for different things. There are people coming through for weddings and events of different sorts and family reunions and there's a university here that's got different games throughout the year, concerts. So like we're next to event venues and hospitals and everything else. So there's a lot of stuff. Like there was some pork expo, I think a few weeks ago, people were here for. So like, it's just, people are coming And our occupancy last year was almost 80% average
Oh my gosh, that's really
across all of
high.
our properties throughout the course of the whole year. So that tells me I need to increase my prices a little bit this
Yeah.
year. We were at 70 the year before average. So summer is usually up in the 90s. No matter how much I increase it, the people are still booking. So I need to, but I love it. So it's good. But yeah, we create that experience. I mean, we have hot tubs and game rooms with like big murals. I hire a mural artist to come in and do that, and cool like fire pit places and all the things to attract like the multifamily gathering stuff. So I think that's kind of how we find our success. But so it doesn't matter what market, just create that experience for sure.
Yeah, and I mean that's the big thing is that like, everyone, I have a bunch of even students in my program, they're like starting to look at places like where do I want to invest if I do want to get a short-term rental, and they start looking at the big ones like the Smoky Mountains. I'm just like, do not go to the freaking Smoky Mountains because the competition there is insane.
Yeah.
So you need to look at your budget. You need to see how many properties are even available like for Airbnb or for short-term renting out. How can you stand out and how can you be like that little like needle in the haystack essentially?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, people can be successful in those markets, but those are very experienced hosts who know the market extremely well, and they know what their competition is doing, so they know what amenities that they need to add. I mean, one of the new things the last couple of years in the Smokies has been, how nice of an indoor pool do you have? Because that seems to be the new thing. Like, need to have indoor heated pools, whatever. Because if you don't, then I'm going to be every several. It's like, man, like I do not have an indoor pool, and I don't plan to. But
right.
it just, you can be successful in your own backyard. That's actually what my most recent long form YouTube video was about. My vlog was just, I think I titled it, "I will never invest in, vacation destinations," which isn't necessarily true. Like I might someday, if I know the market really well and I understand the potential for it. But yeah, I mean, there's also different regulations that can change, and like small markets like mine, there aren't regulations in place right now. And that I wouldn't say it scares me, but it does keep me more focused on like not having everything here.
Yeah.
So we're now looking in different cities, kind of still around the area, and debating doing that or doing like a midterm rental next or something as well, just to keep diversifying, because I don't just want to keep putting large houses in Des Moines.
Yeah.
And then
because then you're also going to be your own competition too.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's working for now, but yeah, I don't want to have, everything right here. So we'll keep diversifying, but yeah.
Well, and I guess out of curiosity, was it something where you ran the numbers so it could work as a long-term or a midterm rental?
With our first house, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, it could. I mean, it would have been tighter. Like long-term rentals were going for about 1,900 in that neighborhood. Yeah. And I think our interest rate on that house, our first one, is like a 5.5. Escrowed payment it's like 1,400 or something. So it wouldn't be great cash flow, but it would still be cash flow. I don't know if I would have kept it as a long-term rental. I probably would have just sold it, but it could have worked if we wanted it, to.
Yeah. And I mean, that's so especially when you are so my very first place I bought in New Orleans, and I knew that New Orleans was shaky with short-term rentals, but I was going to use it while I could, right, to rake in some cash. But I also knew whenever I left the property, like the short-term rental regulations were already being changed. So I wasn't banking on that, right? And I ran my numbers as a midterm rental and as a long-term rental just in case anything were to happen. It broke even as a long-term rental. Like I think it cash flowed $200 a month, something, nothing crazy. I was just like, you know what? Worst case scenario, at least I have a $200 a month cash flowing asset. As a midterm rental, it still did over like $2,000 a month. And then if I short-term rented, it was way more than that. So I was like, okay, even if I switch both sides into a midterm rental, it's still doing good. I'm like, worth it, for something I put legitimately zero money into.
Yeah.
If you've been following me for a while, you know that I absolutely love fashion. Like I am always in bright, colorful clothes. I'm just a bright and colorful human. Even right now, I'm wearing a fabulous green dress, if you can see me on YouTube. But I also just go to a ton of different conferences and retreats and events, and I'm always wearing trying something different. And everyone always asks me, Olivia, where do you get your clothes from? Now, this isn't some Instagram influencer thing where it's like, oh yeah, everyone asks me. No, actually, everyone does ask me where I get all of my clothes from. And the funny thing is, I actually got rid of half of my closet years ago whenever I started nomading because I just hate clutter and don't want a ton of stuff. And I'm just not like a stuff girl. And 80% of the time, I'm actually wearing rented clothes from Nuuly. Yes, this fabulous green dress that I'm wearing right now is from Nuuly. I know, I don't actually buy clothes like ever, really. I mainly rent. And that's because, number one, I get bored of clothes easily and I like to change my clothes all the time. That's why I am legitimately always in a new dress. Number two is I hate clutter. Like I just hate having a crazy full closet where I can't find anything and it's just such a mess. And then number three, I am always traveling and sometimes it's hard to pack a bunch of different stuff and clothes. And I like to travel light. I also take a lot of pictures of myself. So I like to be in different outfits. And sometimes I even get the rental sent to wherever I'm traveling to. That way I don't even have to pack it with me. And this way I just get to wear way nicer clothing than I usually buy. Like literally over the last 3 years, I have rented over $150,000 worth of clothes, but I've spent less than a tenth of that actually on clothing. And that's why I absolutely love Nuuly because they have so many different things, so many fun items. I love that they have really fabulous brands like Farm Rio and sometimes even McDougall, which is a luxury brand. I've rented $1,000 dresses from them for the same price as my membership. And it's great because they have super classic items, but they also have fun staples in there too. Because you can rent everything from dresses to coats to everyday outfits like jeans. Now, you're actually in luck right now because I have a special link where you can actually try a Nuuly subscription and get $30 off of your first month subscription. So use the link in the show notes below to try Nuuly out or go in and type oliviatati.com/Nuuly. That's Nuuly. And I have a discount code in there. Go ahead, try it out. Let me know how you like it. It has been a total game changer for me to level up my wardrobe. So go check out Nuuly. Remember, oliviatati.com/Nuuly or go use the link in my show notes.
And we go back to like we have 11 properties right now, and only 3 of them are short-term rentals. And if we absolutely had to, like it would be super difficult now, but like if we absolutely had to, we could just live on the income from the long-term rentals by themselves. So
Yeah.
we use our short-term rental income as fund money or money to reinvest as well. So we typically try to reinvest, I don't know, a third to a half of our yearly income back into our properties or new properties as well. So we try to buy at least 1 property per year. So play it smart for sure with whatever you do. But it's definitely one of those things like don't just not do it because you're scared of the what ifs. Go after it, make some money while you can, and then figure that out later on if you have to sell or change it. So, but.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And so, I'm so curious, what was that deciding factor? Because, you kind of went through the ranks in terms of working for different companies. I believe your last one was Google. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I was it was not Google directly. I was it was like a third party company. Most people don't realize this, but I think it's, and I could be off a little bit here, but it's like 90% of the people that work for Google are actually working for
contractors,
like contracted employees. Yeah, which is what we were. So I worked for a company called Mosaic, and so I had my boss that I reported to, but then he reported directly to somebody that worked straight with Google. So it was all Google, but Mosaic wrote our checks, if that makes sense. So the whole company was run through Google, but our checks were paid. So the benefits were still good, but the pay was not the Google employee paid. It was
okay.
Yeah, I think the most I ever got paid was like $68,000 a year.
Okay.
And that's what I was making when I left. So I had just gotten raised up to there. So still like not bad especially for a Midwest income, but not Google, salary that you would think. So
what gave you the confidence to leave?
So there was actually it was like this breaking moment for me going to the Real Estate Robinsons short-term rental summit.
Wait, did we go to the same one?
I went to the one in Newport Beach, California. It was their
Me
first one.
too.
Really? Okay. I was gonna
No,
say
wait. Did I?
I
Yeah,
thought
I went to
that's
the
where we
Newport
met.
Beach one. Yes, that is where
Okay.
we went.
I
Yeah.
think that's where we met.
Wait, that was
it
the
was great.
breaking
Great.
point for me
So, okay, Tony and Sarah, if they see this, they I mean, you've been on their podcast, right?
Yeah, and I actually was just on the phone with Sarah like
okay,
a week ago.
so you can tell them thanks for me too, but I needed that. So that was the first ever short-term rental conference that I had been to. But I had been watching their stuff for a while and loving what they were putting out, and I saw that they were having their conference, and it seemed like fun. So we actually went with my in-laws, just my wife and I with my in-laws, because they had they've got 3 condos now, all as short-term rentals, all in the same building down on South Padre Island. But they had been using a property manager for the one that they owned, and we had been running our own like property. They had one at the time through Airbnb. And I converted them instead of using a property manager down there anymore, because it was just like a company that was taking 30%. They weren't even listing the properties on Airbnb. It was just Verbo. And AirDNA showed that like 90% of the bookings were on the island were coming through Airbnb. So I'm like, dude, you need to get this on Airbnb and do it yourself. So we switched them. And but yeah, so we were all kind of in that learning process. My wife and I were in escrow currently on our second short-term rental. We were going to be closing like 2 weeks after we got back from the conference. So we go there, and at the time I'm like kind of leaning on the fence. Like, we've got enough cash flow that I could leave my job, but having a job makes it easier to get loans for more properties, right? And you can get them faster. And we're there, and I had spoken to a couple different people. I wish I remembered this guy's name. I cannot remember it. But I'm speaking with an individual, and he had left his job and he was doing short-term rentals full-time. And him and I were talking, and he's like, what's holding you back? Like, why have you not left your job yet? Like, do you make enough cash flow? I'm like, well, yeah, like we do, like we have enough to make it, but it's been, easier to get them. Like, I want to have 10 conventional loans. Like, let's get to that point. And he's like, well, dude, if leaving your job is what your plan is, like what your ultimate goal is, he's like, what I can tell you is that even though your mindset now might be it's easier to get properties while you have a job, he's like, you're also not putting 100% of your effort into your rental properties. You're putting about 50% into that, and then 50% into your job, where if you leave, he's like, I can guarantee you that your properties will do significantly better than they're doing now, because all of your effort will be there, because this switch in your mind will go, and you'll be like, okay, this is my only income source now. So now, like, I have to do well on this, instead of, well, I can kind of lean back on this too as my support. So, and then he's like, the one thing like you need to think as well, like, what's the worst that could ever happen is that it doesn't work out for you and you have to go get a job again, and you end up exactly back to where you are now.
Yeah.
And like, that's so true. So, so I got back home, and I ended up calling my boss in the parking lot of the closing office right after we had closed on that second short-term rental, because I needed proof of like income verification in order to get a proof of loan still. So we did that. I put in 2 weeks, and then I was done. And that next year, our properties all did significantly better, because we were able to focus more on optimizing the pricing and amenities and everything else in those properties to increase them. And then we just got a break. We actually took that year and didn't buy any properties. We just spent time with the kids and focused on growing our overall family health. And went on, a long 3-month trip down to South Padre Island and spent the winter there and just grew together, and that was good. So, but yeah, since then we bought a property last year. We're hoping to buy 1 or 2 more this year and just take it a little bit slower, not spend every weekend and evening renovating anymore. So
Oh, I feel that. I'm not buying anything this year. This year is
yeah,
unless there's a really damn good deal that comes my way, which depending on how the market looks, we'll see. But
yeah,
yeah, I feel like every year there's been a big chunk of time dedicated towards
right.
properties and I'm tired. I'm
I
like, let me
know, I
enjoy
know.
and reap the benefits for a little and then we'll head back in.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I don't want to stop, but I don't want to go as hard as we did. So we looked at a few properties already this year, and then my wife and I are like, I don't want to really lose like the quality of our current ones either. So we're updating things at our other short-term rentals, like putting in new carpet and doing, repainting some stuff. And I mean, I've got a 3-year-old Airbnb now, and it's like, man, like when do I need to replace mattresses? And this couch is
Yeah.
looking kind of saggy now. And like, there's those things that you want to keep up the quality. So I pride myself in having a 4.98 overall score on Airbnb, and I
Yeah.
refuse to let that go down. So, so
Oh,
I'm like, I want to, because all of our properties are in the top 10% or whatever guest favorites, and whatever that means. If Mark Simpson does see this, he'll just be like, you suck, Matt. Like to read talk about that. But I do like Airbnb is a valuable partner of ours, and they help get us a lot of bookings. Like, are we trying to focus on direct bookings? 100%. And we are pushing for that and marketing it to guests and such. But yeah, like just trying to keep up the quality of our current rentals is a big focus this year as well.
Totally. I love that. Well, Matt, we are in the last portion of the podcast, which is the 3 final interview questions. So, number 1, what does your ideal perfect day look like?
Okay. Now I know I think you asked me these questions ahead of time, and I feel like I should have studied up on more of these.
No, you're good.
I totally read these, so I'm still going to answer these the best I can. My ideal perfect day, honestly, like just if I could have just the picture perfect day, it's waking up knowing, and this is how a lot of my life is now, but like waking up knowing that I don't have any action items or conference calls that I have to get on, that I have to, like, I loved my last boss. He was fantastic, but like, I don't have to report to anyone anymore. I just get to wake up, with my wife and my kids, and just, sit down and enjoy breakfast together. Like we make a big breakfast every day. We've got our chickens, but our ducks are the ones laying eggs right now. So we go out and let the ducks out and collect duck eggs and make like this morning we made pancakes for breakfast and eggs and just spend some time together. We homeschool our kids too, so doing school with them and maybe working on some content and just going on a four like an ATV ride in the evening. Walking around the yard, having a bonfire. That's kind of my ideal day right now. So
I love that.
Well, and
that's the thing. The beautiful thing is you're actually living it,
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay. Question number 2. What's your mantra or just something that you tell yourself over and over again?
So I use this is a quote, and I can't even tell you who this is from, which is terrible because they should get credit for it. But this was one that I used all the time, especially when we were house hacking, and I still tell people now, and I still totally believe this. Like the quote is, "Use your weekends and evenings to build the life you want, not escape the life you have." I think that there are, 99% of people want to be able to escape the rat race, want to be able to leave their job. I mean, I don't know anybody that wouldn't want to have passive income, but they use the excuse that I don't have the time or the money or the knowledge. And it's one of those 3 things. And it's like, man, like we didn't have the knowledge. Like we learned how to renovate properties by using YouTube and just doing stuff, like learning that it was a lot easier. And, I look back at some of those first projects, like, man, we did a terrible job, but we were able to make it work. But ultimately it came down to, instead of getting off work and thinking, oh, like we deserve to just sit down and watch Netflix or whatever, or sit down and, watch the game. Like, I'm not a sports guy. And I would say the reason why is, and some people might be like, well, this is stupid, but I worked on properties instead of watching the games because I felt like it was more valuable for my time, instead of focusing on the success of other people, to try and work on my own success. we used our evenings. Man, I remember coming home from work and my wife and I were doing a backsplash, and like we had, I think, 2 kids at that time. This was the second house we were working in, and it was a split foyer, and there was a deck off the back that we had built, but it's winter, and we are doing a tile backsplash for the countertop, and I'm going down the steps into the garage where I've got a tile saw going, and then bringing tile back up. And she's the one that's measuring and drawing on these, and because she's very meticulous about that, and I'm the one that's going and cutting them and stuff. I'm just more the labor boy is what I am for this. She's the boss, 100%. But I had mixed up too much mortar, and she's like, I mean, it's like 11 p.m. and it's super cold. Like I can't feel my fingers, and she's like, no, like we can't stop. Like we have to do this because now we have too much mortar, and let's just get this done. Like, and we're halfway through. So I think we were up until almost 1 a.m. just doing tile. And I'm sure our neighbors hated us at the time, but the next morning we get up and see this done. And it's like, man, like we could have just used the excuse of let's just be lazy or stop or whatever else. But we used our weekends and our evenings to build this life. And that is how we got to this point. I didn't have extra hours in the day that other people didn't have. I was working 40 to 50 hours a week, but I had a partner who was dedicated to helping and doing this together, which I think is essential. But then we also used that time to build this life. So yeah, that's my mantra. That's a very long-winded mantra. I apologize.
No, I love it, but it's such a good like lesson too, because I was the same. Like I literally would tell people, I didn't watch Netflix for years because I was just like, no, I'm building my empire and like I'm renovating properties and I am doing this damn thing. And everything I consumed was around real estate investing. It was around mindset. It was around business. It was around like, and even to this day, like I go through phases, don't get me wrong. And it doesn't mean like, oh, you should never watch Netflix ever again in your life. No, I go through phases. Sometimes you will see me on the couch binging something real hard.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Oh, when I am like, when my mind is focused and I know where I want to go, like that is what I'm doing.
Yeah. No, that new season of Reacher was fantastic. Jack Reacher. No, I don't know.
No, I haven't watched it. Like I said, I really don't watch it.
I know, right? Like it has to be something like super specific for me. But we're also at a point where I'm not working at a house and I have more of that time. So we'll do that. My wife hates like watching stuff though. She's like, this is the biggest waste of time. But it's like, what else do you want to do? She's like, I don't know. We can play a game or something. So she's got like this marble. I forget what it's called. This marble game that she wanted to play last night. But we ended up watching like Modern Family or something instead. So we did waste like an hour of time. But like, you know what? Every once in a while, whatever. So we're gonna.
Oh man.
We're gonna do. We finished our taxes. Finally got our stuff done yesterday. So
nice.
But yeah, so that's done. So we get to relax now.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, last question. What does wealth mean to you?
What does wealth mean to me? Man, I would say like it's never been about the money. And I think if someone thinks that wealth means being financially rich, then they're because wealth is having the ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, and where you want. I can choose my own schedule. I can choose to do it with, whomever I want to, assuming that they're, not working at the time. But I can do things on my own terms, and not need to report to somebody. So my wealth is having my family and my time. I give all the glory to God, and I'm a Christian, and I love to be able to share that with other people as well. But we're able to just do things on our own. Like we don't have some big elaborate house. I don't have fancy cars. I'm not driving a Lamborghini. That's not wealth to me. Like I don't want to be strapped and feel like I've got to make these big payments on things. Like I love having the flexibility to, like we just booked a super nice place in Colorado, where I never thought I would spend that to rent a property, but we did because we have the ability to do that. And our mortgage payment on our personal house is pretty low too, and we just kind of, do what we want to when we want to. So that's wealth for me.
I love that. I mean, yeah, and that's why I still like so many people are like, oh, you should go buy yourself like another house. I'm like, I will happily live in my cute little basement. It's adorable. It serves its purpose. And I really genuinely enjoy living here. Why would I go and
You
spend
have flowers everywhere, you know, and it looks great.
Exactly. Why would I go spend money on a mortgage that I don't want to when I can just get it paid for myself?
I know. I think my daughter, my oldest daughter came up to me. We were down in, I've got a safe. We were doing some target shooting last night, and we're back down in the room, and I keep some cash in there too. And we're since we're homeschooling, we're teaching her like through counting and multiplication and stuff. And she saw some of the cash in there, and she's like, "Can I count this? Like, I want to see how much is here." And she's, you know, it's not that substantial. I think we've got like 15 grand or something in there, but for her, it's just like
huge.
Where like she's like, "Can we just like go buy like some super nice house? Like, why are we not here?" It's like, oh, like no.
Not quite.
Like, but you have all this money down here, Dad. Like, let's just go do that. And like, no, like, plus like the house that we live in now, you know, is nice, all things considered. Like people, I think most people would want to live out here. Like, it's not some super big fancy house, but it's nice, and we've got the space and stuff. So like we're very content right now, and you know, it's good to teach your kids contentment too, not to just buy whatever you want to.
Completely.
Because you have 15 grand, you know, so
you can buy everything you want.
Buy everything we want.
Oh my gosh. Well, Matt, where can people find you and all of your crazy Airbnb horror stories?
Yeah. So if you just search Matt Kruger, I think you could find me, or Rental Cash Flow is my kind of go-to name, simply because it was still available on TikTok when I opened my account a few years ago. But Rental Cash Flow, Matt Kruger, either of those combinations, you'll find me. So, but yeah, follow along and see some of the fun stuff that we encounter. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Matt. This has been so fun to catch up.
Yes, it was. I look forward to hopefully meeting you or seeing you in person again, maybe this year sometime. So.
I know. I just refuse to go to real estate conferences unless I'm speaking now. So.
Yeah. I've definitely slowed down. So I'm going to go to the STR Wealth Conference.
Nice.
What is that, June this year, July or something?
Yeah.
I enjoyed that, but I have quite a few friends that go to that. So I'll go there, but we'll see about any others this year. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Matt.
Yeah, thank you. This was good.
Thank you so much for listening to Wanderlust Wealth Show. Now, don't forget to follow the podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you love this episode, it would literally mean the world to me if you shared this with a friend or a family member, or literally like anyone off of the street. Like right now, go ahead, share it so you don't forget, or post it on social media and make sure to tag me. I love seeing what you're listening in on and what you resonated with, and I'm just so freaking thankful for you. I'm so freaking excited for you. I love you, and don't forget, life really doesn't have to be hard.